Good morning, you guys. Good morning. Please let us know if you can hear and see us clearly. I feel like since daylight saving time kicked in, I've been rushing, trying to catch up ever since. Ever since. Anyway, and then baby girl had business to
We're
attend to.
swimming in lube. Take
So
off.
I'm a little out of breath. I had to take her up the street about half a block, then run back to the house. So I'm a little bit out of breath. Anyway, she did her business, and we are here.
The old folks say you got the business. I mean, you on
Okay.
top.
You old folks.
Yeah, you old
The old
folks.
folks say that.
Yeah.
Say hello to everybody
Hey
while I
out
get
there,
a drink of
y'all.
water.
You know, I was saying it like this. We're swimming in lube.
Okay.
We're swimming in beingness, stroking out on the cool living water.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Good
Good to
morning,
see you.
everybody. James Dixon.
James
James
Dixon.
Dixon is the early bird. And I
James
mean,
Dixon, I'm gonna have to have a talk with you, boy.
early, because James Dixon came in here at 5:27 a.m.
I'm gonna have to call you to the office and give a report on you.
He definitely is the early bird. And then my sissy and my brother-in-law popped in
Oh, brother-in-law, I don't know what to
around
think about you.
9:30, around 9:38. They popped in, and here comes Sandra at 9:55, and
Oh,
Deb came in at 9:56, and Oliver and Yo-Yo came in at
oh, look out
9:56.
there.
Good morning to you guys. And then there's John Greason in the house
Greason
at
J.
9:57. Judy Jew came in at
Miss Judy
9:57.
Lee,
And then
Deborah
Dee and
Lee,
George
and
popped in at 9:59.
Tanita.
Tanita came in right on time at
Yeah, you're
10
going across the
8
finish line.
p.m. Pastor Norman was a minute late. He was
Oh, Pastor Norman,
10:01.
you ought to. You know, I gotta talk to you, boy.
Brother Kessler was at 10:01.
Brother
Enid
Kessler,
came in
Brother
at
Kessler, you watch it
10:01. You
now.
guys came in at
That Miss
10:01.
Edith
And then
Brown.
Vern was right there. She was right there
Yeah,
just about a half a
you sound
quarter
like you're doing a
behind.
horse race.
I know, at 10:02. And then Jill came in at 10:02.
That's Vernie Mae.
And then there's Lori. Lori came in at
Lori
10:03.
Lori Ann Gilstein.
Yes.
Look at all them names on that,
Yeah,
baby.
and Brother Blue came in,
Look
and the
at that
family
Brother
came in
Blue.
at
Brother Blue.
10:04.
You know
And Pro
what?
Pro
You know
came
what?
in at
You know that's
10:06.
good business, ain't it?
And here comes our
Leslie.
sweetie pie Leslie. I
Boy,
hope
she
you're
had
feeling better,
surgery.
darling.
Yeah.
At 10:07.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you
y'all
guys popped
smell
on in here.
good.
Thanks for letting us know that you can see, you can hear us
Ooh,
really,
Lord,
really
look at the
good.
list there, baby.
Also, David Singleton
look
popped
at that.
in here
Look
at
at
10:09, and
Ooh.
Virginia popped in at 10:09. I tell
Oh,
you,
glory be to
I'm
God.
glad to have you
Thank
guys
you,
with us
thank you,
today.
thank you. Hallelujah.
All right,
Go for yourself, girl.
I think I'm running. I hit
Tear it up.
the
We
ground
call
running.
this tearing your reverse out going forward.
That's right. Now,
Knocking everything that was square, we're knocking the corners off of it, making it around
this is true.
around the curve.
This is true. This is true. All right. I hope you guys are ready for another discovery of truth, because that's what we're going to be doing this morning.
See what I did, that girl out there.
Now, are you going to be in that mode the whole
Come on,
time?
boom.
Are you going to be in that
I wink
mode
my
the
eyes
whole
to make
time?
sure you don't talk it.
Why you have to do your mouth that
Yeah,
way?
because it kind of hooks my lip a little bit when I got a strain to run from it. It's right out. Like them baby doll when you close you wink your eye, your mouth come on. I do it like that. Okay, we're gonna work it.
It's not sexy when your mouth comes
Yeah,
up.
it is.
No, it's not.
You don't know. See, you just a baby. You don't understand these grown folks talk. Go right ahead, but you.
Have you lost your swag, or you still got it?
I'm swagging and keeping it. I ain't never had it, so I'm ain't no you losing.
You don't miss
losing.
what you never had, do you?
Can you give me time to finish what I say? Go ahead, girl.
Okay, guys. I love you, and I'm going to read something to you. I was going to do a meditation, but I think I'm going to skip it for today, and I want to just do something.
No taters.
No,
Meditators.
No, I'm not going to do a meditation today. Unless I change my mind. But I want to read something to you out of Eckhart Tolle's book, and this is kind of in the same line of same vein of what we've been kind of talking about for the last 2-3 weeks, and that is coming fully into your human body, being your humanness. We have been learning of our divineness, and we have been learning of beingness We have been talking about that and living as that. And there is a point of where there's a turning point where you must embody everything that you have heard, discovered. Otherwise, it
In one
was
place.
yes, and otherwise it will simply be conceptual and just mentation, and that's not good
Oh,
enough.
what's that word? Men what?
Mentation
Ooh, that's pretty good. That sounds like
just
something
means
good.
it'll be mental.
Being left brain.
Well, mental, not just left brain.
Yeah, mentaler.
Yeah, just
Okay.
it'll just be a mental concept,
Yes, ma'am.
or for some of us
Hmm.
that's not a bad thing, but it's it has to come take the next step, which is embodiment, where you actually begin living out that you know you are the knower.
And you are living it out with or without good days or bad days,
Right,
good
right.
feelings, bad
It has
feelings,
absolutely nothing to
going
do
to
with that.
church or not going to church.
However, your body being the I'll say the emotional presenter,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Oh, I
your
like that.
everything you feel,
Emotional.
your body
Emotional
exudes.
presented. I mean, emotional, physical, psychological, mental, uh, is presented in one
Yeah,
package.
everything that you think, your body
Wow.
responds emotionally to it.
You know what I like about
So
what you're saying? You're saying no matter what it looks like, feel like, dread, hot, warm, or cold,
mhm,
when you go fully, what we call fully beingness,
mhm.
there's nothing else coming, nothing else leaving. You're the full okie dokie
it's
right there on
it's
the spot.
it's a settlement,
Yeah.
and when you
And that was
have,
one the case.
yes, but at the same time, to embody it
Yeah.
is to carry it out into the world.
And you're doing it.
And you are doing it, but we're not always
There
cognizant
you go. There you
of
go. I
who we
waiting on
are
that. I
as we're
waited.
doing it. But anyway,
Yeah, that's pretty good. I
because
like that.
the body, whatever thought you have,
Hmm.
there is an emotion that goes with it, and the body is the one that shows those emotions. Have you ever been around somebody and you were really uh scared or fearful and you tried to hide it?
Yeah, I've been that way with you
The
all my
body will
life.
give you away every
I feel that
time.
way
The
sometimes.
body will give you away
I
every
think they
time.
do too.
So it's so the body has it does present emotions, and so it's important that we, as we learn to, I don't want to say learn, but as we progress into embodiment, uh,
Awareness.
the thoughts that we have learned to detach from and witness. There is, there will be the reactors in the body. However, they won't be permanent.
That's good. It's like you're saying, I see a picture, a vision. When I was raised up in moonshine, that means this in bootlegging. They didn't have to change like they mind told them. They didn't have to change to get or be where God is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm.
were in the moonshine, and God didn't have any problem. But a change takes place because of you finding out.
Mm-hmm,
It like it seemed like it take
mm-hmm.
place. It seemed like it, but it really it's there all the time.
Yeah, yeah, and what you're talking about is that existential union
Yeah.
again,
Mhm.
versus
Yeah.
transformational
Yeah.
union. We all have that existential union.
Hey, it's almost like if you see a change now and it's futuristic, you're too late because it was there before you ever had the experience of change.
Right,
I
right,
like that because
right.
it's something about what you're talking about now. It's kind of like it free up a lot of ropes and cables and ties that you thought that you were responsible for
Mm-hmm,
keeping every
mm-hmm,
last
mm-hmm,
million of them
mm-hmm,
tight.
mm-hmm. So now we have
I like it.
this phrase that we coined throughout our teachings, in most spiritual non-duality teachers or
Mm-hmm.
uh, spiritual teachers
Mm-hmm.
usually say this, that I am not my body.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Uh-huh.
true.
Mm-hmm.
I am not in
Mm-hmm.
essence my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
I must acknowledge that I am in this body. And it is my responsibility to be master of this physical materiality. And that's where embodiment comes in.
With an open beingness mind, I would advise you take it, think about it, chew on it. Everybody to investigate life after death or near death experiences and leave your mind open. Don't be in judgment like we do, like the mind always normally do. Open yourself up, open all the floodgates, and investigate in that as far as you can. You don't have to pick it
Mhm.
like you do your food when you don't want something in it. Just
Okay.
look at it. We call it you're going to eat the hay and leave the sticks.
Okay. I want to acknowledge a couple of people that just came in. Sharon came in. Hey, Sister Sharon. And
Sharon
there's my
Hershey, good to
sweetie
see you.
pie, Sister
Yeah,
Christine, back
yeah.
at home from the hospital.
Christine
Glad to
Abernathy.
have her here this morning. Wow, wow,
As
wow.
Phyllis May.
We're just grateful to the Lord for making sure that she's still here with us.
Sister Sharon Eugene Hairston.
And Phyllis and Edward popped in. Thank you so much, you
Edward
guys.
J.
Just wanted to acknowledge that, but I wanted to read this from Eckhart Tolle is the only one, and I won't say he is the only one who has taught this or mentions this, but he is the only one I know of that has talked about the inner body
Mm-hmm.
and makes a distinction for
Mm-hmm.
us. So I'm going to read out of his book. Don't you guys say he's a demon, because he's not. This is A New Earth, and it's by Eckhart Tolle. Okay, and I'm reading from the chapter where it's talking about the current state of humanity and feeling the inner body. Okay, so here we go. Although body identification is one of the most basic forms of ego, the good news is that it is also the one that you can most easily go beyond. This is done not by trying to convince yourself that you are not your body, but by shifting your attention from the external form of your body and from thoughts about your body, such as beautiful or ugly or strong or weak, too fat or too thin, to the feeling of a he said, move to the feeling of aliveness inside it. No matter what your body's appearance is on the outer level, beyond the outer form, it is an intensely alive energy field.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I hear you.
So we must completely inhabit this body,
Okay.
because it is an energy field that we have used or are using to navigate through this earth plane.
That's right.
And we must be fully here,
Yeah.
fully
Okay.
present. If you are not familiar with inner body awareness, and he goes through a way of coming into that, and I don't know if I'm going to go into all of that just yet, but he talks about there are exercises you can do to come into your inner body. I might say a little bit about it later, but and then he also has a chapter in here about the pain body,
Okay.
which is another energy field.
We talked to Miss Leslie about that yesterday.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As a
So,
pain body.
what? Yeah, as he said, while we know we're not the body, we must completely inhabit this body and be present in
Yeah.
it.
Pain body is that part of us that when we think of something or the mind think of something, it carries with it the memory of how it felt. I
Mm-hmm,
tell people all the time, when you out driving a car or out on the road driving a truck or car, when you're out there and you got some speedy Gonzalez come around you and he's dodging in and out of traffic,
mm-hmm.
you're seeing a perfect example of a pain body looking for pain,
Now,
looking for tragedy.
yeah, I said I wasn't going to be, but for the sake of explaining some of the things that you used to teach us,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to read this
Okay.
just for that sake.
Okay.
It's talk about the inner body awareness.
Mhm.
He says, close your eyes for a moment. If you guys want to do this while I'm reading, that's fine. Close your eyes for a moment and find out if there is life inside your hands. Don't ask your mind. It will say, I can't feel anything. Probably it will also say, give me something more interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So instead of asking your mind, go to the hands directly. And I wanted to read that simply because years ago, when we first started pastoring, you did a lot of teaching on the inner energy field around us and how to uh, activate that for healing and all
Uh-huh.
kinds of things. So you had us to rub our hands together like this. We rub our
Yeah.
hands like this. Just rub our hands like this. Just rub.
Uh-huh.
And then you would have us to bring our hands up like
Do like
this
that.
and just
And
come
notice
in
you have
and
to
and
focus,
and pay attention to what you're feeling
and it
in
develops your
between your
it develops
hands.
awareness.
And you can actually, if
Do
you
it like
do it,
this
you can
sometimes.
actually feel a force.
And and if you do it fast enough, you'll build up of presence. Yeah, and feel it now.
You can actually feel a force
Yeah.
between your hands.
Tiny and material like
That
invisible.
is your energy field. That
Mm-hmm.
is your energy
Mm-hmm.
body. And I remember years ago we went to see Catherine Kuhlman, and Catherine Kuhlman was this healer. She was
A
a,
female healer. Mm-hmm.
yeah, faith. I don't want to call her faith healer because she
No.
didn't talk about doing having
She's a love
faith and all that.
healer, I
She
call
was a
her.
love healer. Yeah, so she had this aura about her,
Yeah.
and it was her energy field,
Yeah.
and it extended for a vast distance.
Millions of people got delivered.
People would
They
get
fell in love
healed.
with her loving self.
Yeah, people would get healed, not even in the direct
Yeah.
presence of
While we were
Catherine.
standing in the front of the first Presbyterian church, Miss
They got
Leslie,
healed.
in
Yes,
Pittsburgh, we were
yes.
standing there, and people was waiting out on the front step. We were too. They were getting healed right there on the step, waiting
Right.
early in the morning.
And some of it was because, of course, we all were there in expectancy and excitement and believing.
Yeah.
But then there was people who walked down the street and got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't even know what we were there for.
Yeah.
And when we were sitting, when we got into that, before we got into the church, we were on the front porch of that church, or maybe 3 feet from the door.
Yeah.
And the people who had been there to her services before, they said, when the doors open, push in, because if you don't, you won't get in.
That's right.
And we were about 3 feet from the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
And when they pushed those doors open, of course, we did what they said, and it was still full by the time we
Yeah.
got in there.
Yeah.
We
People coming
still
in
were
other
sitting
ways.
in the back.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
still sitting in the back. So, but we were sitting in the back, and there was one moment where Catherine came off the stage and walked down the aisle, and it was as if she had wind blowing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It was like, you know how Beyonce has a fan blowing her hair back? Well, that's the way Catherine looked, and there was no fan. And she came down the aisle. The Spirit of God impressed her to come down the aisle.
Yes.
And the lady stuck her baby out
Yes.
there while she's coming down the
right
aisle, and she slapped her hand on that baby's head.
Ooh, that was some. What a moment.
And you could feel the energy.
One man was in front of the church, outside waiting. He was an alcoholic, cussing. They were cussing God out and all that kind of stuff. Went in there, and he got completely free just being in her presence.
One man walked off the street not knowing what was going on, and went inside the church and got his hearing healed. He got healed of deafness. It was amazing. One little boy in our hotel, he was wearing a build-up shoe, and when he got back from the service that we were in, he had to take that shoe off because he couldn't walk.
And incidentally, that's where we spent our honeymoon.
That was our honeymoon.
Yeah, that was our honeymoon. First time we've been on a plane.
Yeah.
First time
we were like the Beverly Hillbillies.
But I mean, that cab driver was driving crazy as a broke neck chicken in the meat house.
Yeah.
But he got us to the church.
And they didn't know anything about chocolate milk.
No. But I wanted chocolate milk. They had to go way upstairs.
They had to try to make it. They put chocolate inside of white milk. Anyway, I mentioned all of that because the energy that you are not only is in this body, it is this body.
And remember, we said, find your pulse. I can see mine right here with the vein.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Put your finger on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let it stay there. Just relax. And notice the pulse beat of your heart or the rhythm of vibrational frequencies coming through that. When you
Mhm.
leave your body, that's you as that pulse beat that's leaving.
And what that does when you tell us to listen and feel for our pulse,
Yeah.
it causes us to focus
Yes.
and intently on that we are in these bodies. And it
Mhm.
also lets you know the life that you are in these bodies.
Now, you want to find something about the gifts of the Spirit, the potential of your eternal essence, and find out the miracle working power of God. You just find it. It's you. That
Mhm,
pulse
mhm,
beat,
mhm,
the breath that you take, that's
mhm,
God's miracle healing power. That's the same energy that healed the woman in the Bible with the issue of blood. It is
mhm,
the same
mhm,
energy.
mhm.
Watch this. It's the same energy in medication.
Yes, it is. Well, and yeah, medication works
Yeah.
with the
Not
brain
saying
more
yes or no
so.
is good or bad and it does not have
Yeah,
side effects, but
yeah,
they added something to that energy that causes side effects. But in its pure rawness, it's the feeling presence of God,
yeah, yeah.
like your pulse is
Well,
in your hand.
and the thing is, God manifest
Yeah,
is man.
yeah, yeah. And that pulse beat is the manifestation of God.
God manifest is man. So
Wow.
you are the manifestation
Yeah,
of an invisible God,
yeah. Made physical.
made visible.
Yeah,
Yes, made
yeah.
visible. So now this is what he says. So instead of asking your mind, go to the hands directly. So want you to do this again, and I want you to bring you back to your awareness of the energy that's in your hands, and I want you to bring them close. And it kind of helps to do this. You have to really center yourself to do it. But I can feel mine as far as this here. I don't have to go any closer. I feel it. Now, while you're feeling that, I want you to hold on to that for a moment. He says, become aware of the subtle feeling of aliveness inside your hands. It is there. You just have to go there with your attention to notice it. Some of you may experience a slight tingling sensation, then a feeling of energy or aliveness. If you hold your attention in your hands for a while, the sense of aliveness will intensify. Some people don't even have to close their eyes, he said. They will be able to feel their inner hands at the same time as they hear this. Then you can, he says, he talks about going to your feet. So every part of your body, you go to those parts of
Now,
your
now here's
body.
another. We take baby girl, our puppy. I don't care where she is in the snow, freezing, whatever it is outside. If you stop and pick her foot up and feel the bottom of her toes, you will feel that they have a special abundance of heat
Mm-hmm.
that keep them from freezing. They have to stay outdoors a long time. Now you take an Eskimo or Husky dog, they live in the outside in the cold.
Yeah.
So the deers, that energy, if you will open your mind, loose yeah, open your mind and you'll look at it, loose yeah, and you will see that that energy is the presence and the power of God. Your the automobile, it turns when it's sitting there cold, it is waiting for heat to
Mm-hmm.
expand the
Mm-hmm.
metal, and
Mm-hmm.
it's called cranking up the metal. Now, when you
Yeah.
put out there, sit out there in your car and you take your key or you mash a button and it crank, that's the switch. And watch this. When she said, rub your hands together and hold them apart and back and forth, you feel a buildup of energy. That's
Mm-hmm.
the same type of energy in your car. But here it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
You are the power that controls the
Yes.
presence, the temperature, and the energy in that engine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way we are now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
And if
it.
that this what we're talking about now is what I found out 50 years of research and investigation. You can do that with exploring and investigating the healing hands of Christ that are in your hand. That's the
Mm-hmm.
same
Mm-hmm.
energy that when the woman touched the hem of Jesus' garment,
Yeah.
she felt in herself, and
Mm-hmm.
he felt virtue, energy, life force leave him.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
same life force that's keeping you moving in these bodies is the healing power of God. It may come
Yes.
in abundance, a sudden burst of energy, which is a miracle,
Mm-hmm.
a certain
Mm-hmm.
sudden burst of explosiveness. Either way, everything works on that energy of God. And there's nothing
Yes.
wrong with saying energy. Some people say, well, you didn't go according to the scripture. Look, the letter killeth and spirit makes alive. The letter killeth
Well, we'll
is
use
the
scripture
book, but it's okay.
when we
But
need
you
to
need to
reference it.
understand the
Yeah,
whole
when we need to
impact.
reference it.
The letter is the book. And some people will kill you with the book and they
Mm-hmm.
can't understand
Mm-hmm.
why they have a conflict of interest in their heart.
Right. Now, Tully calls this awareness of your inner body.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
calls this a
Inner
global
body. That's
sense
good.
of aliveness.
Yeah,
A global
yeah.
sense of aliveness, meaning you've expanded to actually inhabit the entire body. And he says, what I call the inner body isn't
Mm-hmm.
really the body
Mm-hmm.
anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but life energy,
Mm.
the bridge between form and
That's it.
formlessness.
That's it.
Make it a habit to feel the inner body as often as you can. After a while, you won't need to close your eyes anymore to feel it. For example, see if you can feel the inner body whenever you listen to someone. It almost seems like a paradox. When you are in touch with the inner body, you are not identified with your body anymore, nor are you identified with your mind. This is to say, you are no longer identified with form, but moving away from form identification toward formlessness, which we may also call being.
Mm-hmm.
It is your essence identity.
Wow, that's good.
Body awareness not only anchors you in the present moment, it is a doorway out of the prison of the ego. It also strengthens the immune system and the body's ability to heal itself.
Now,
That's good.
when I investigated into this, I found out things that harm the body, such as the list can go on:
Oh
cigarette
yeah.
smoking,
Oh,
cussing,
oh
dipping,
yeah.
chewing, and hanging around everybody's do. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, what that alcohol does, it pulls your light body energy into a dark corner
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
begin to use
mm-hmm,
that same light energy
mm-hmm.
for destruction of the cells in the body and causes it to reverse. When it reverses, it is called side effects.
Yes,
When you
yes,
reverse
yes.
this power of energy to go in an unusual direction, it'll hold up for a while as long as you're in it. But after a while, you're going to damage the pipeline.
Well, I can't remember how when I first heard this, but I remember you remember Dad Calvin Harris
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
come to see
yeah,
us and frequent our classes. He was very well versed in
yeah,
his spiritual studies,
yeah,
and Dad would say that there's energies that can get blocked in your
yeah,
body.
yeah.
And when they get blocked, it's because there are thoughts that are held.
That's right.
And those thoughts held are energies. And they'll come into you, but they're supposed to come in and go out, not stay.
Right. That's right.
But when we hold a thought that is harmful to ourselves or harmful to someone else, that energy stays in us. And the body again is the emoter. So
Yeah, yeah.
whatever thought is in you, it's going to cause the body to put out certain hormones and chemicals such as anger. Whenever a person is angry and they hold that anger, they have already medical science has already determined that it's like a poison
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
in the body.
Yeah.
and
It's
and
very harmful
also
to the body.
stress is the same thing. Stress, because we only have two responses to something that's threatening. That's to fight or flight. So if you have something that's happening that you can't run from and you can't fight, then it
That's right.
stays in the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. And when it stays there, it creates harm,
So it's
danger.
very important that we learn to look at the thoughts that we have or monitor the thoughts that we have, not so much walking around constantly thinking about what am I thinking, what am I thinking, but when thoughts come through you and you feel a feeling, then why am I feeling this? Why am I
Mhm.
thinking
When we were
this?
foster parents, they the law required us to have smoke detectors in the house during that
Mm-hmm,
time when
mm-hmm,
it just got to be popular. And if anything went off in the smoke area, that alarm system would go off. And what it's telling you is the same thing your body has built into it
mm-hmm,
is a
mm-hmm,
security
mm-hmm,
system.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you don't listen to that alarm signal go off, my mom had the same thing that happened to her in her house. She's cooking something and she left the pan on the stove,
Oh
and
my
that thing went
God.
off. And here I am getting phone calls from the fire
And
department
we
over
live
here,
about 30 minutes
30.
from
Well,
where
it's a
she
good
was
little ways
living.
from
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
and I had to go
And you were
high pursuit.
hyper speeding. Yeah,
Yeah,
hyper
and
speeding.
uh, so what happened was, I said, "Mama, you can't keep doing that because I said you're gonna mess around and catch the house on fire." That's the same thing that happened to this body. When my aunt, the lady that raised me, dipped snuff and got it in her mouth, snuff and tobacco in her mouth, it harmed her vocal cords,
Mm-hmm,
and she
mm-hmm.
got cancer of the throat. My
Yeah,
brother the
yeah,
same
yeah,
way,
yeah.
and yes, tobacco is okay if you know how to use it, but it's a danger in it.
There
I
is.
used to go to the factory and I asked the foreman supervisor. I said, "That old rotten tobacco that we have and we get up off the floor that drops from the ceiling under the machines." I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Give me, can I take a bag and get some of this and take it home and put it on my yard?" I brought that stuff home, irrigated, instigated, investigated.
It was the best
Ooh,
fertilizer.
when you go out there and look at it with that rotten tobacco in it was shaking the ground, kicking up grass, and it was the pretty. When you cut the grass, juice just run out from under the lawnmower. But now, the power of this energy
Mm-hmm,
is the
mm-hmm.
science of what we're talking about. Sinette, we are talking about the power of
Yes,
God
yes.
that is so easy. Now what? I taught them in the classes. Who is that Latoya Judge? Um, uh,
She's been with us before,
yes,
honey. Yes.
we talked about this in our classes, and we teach them how to release the resurrected Christ self through deliberately pushing that in. You can
Mm-hmm,
relax and
mm-hmm,
let it come through, or you can
mm-hmm,
just be and let it come through, or
mm-hmm.
you can deliberately push it through.
Yes, yes,
And I picked
yes.
this up into spiritual mechanics now by studying much about Jesus coming out of the tomb
Mm-hmm.
and Lazarus being raised from the dead. So insight told me every time you do something with these bodies, you're moving energy and you're moving God. Now, one of my
Mm-hmm.
mentors told me, said, Brother Sawyer, you got to stop seeing energy in the church. He
Well,
said,
yeah,
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 he said,
yeah.
that if you're going to flow with the people, you got to say it like they like to hear it.
But now we're not trying to flow
No,
with the
we're not
people.
trying to.
So
But
can
now,
I read this part too? I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead,
unless you're on a roll here. You
Yeah,
want
go ahead. I'm
this
on.
particular part is called The Duck with a Human Mind. Now, those of you who have read this book, you've heard this before, but I feel it bears repeating. He says, I mentioned my observation that after two ducks get into a fight, which never lasts long, they will separate and float off in opposite
Uh
directions.
huh.
Okay? Then each duck will flap its wings vigorously a few
Yes.
times,
Yes.
releasing the surplus energy that built up during the fight. After they flap their wings, they float on peacefully as if nothing had ever happened.
Okay.
If the duck had a human mind,
Oh, look out there.
it would keep the fight alive by thinking, by
Oh.
story making. Okay,
Wow, that's good.
this
Ooh,
would probably be the
that is
duck's
good.
story.
Mm,
I don't believe what he just did. He
mm.
came within 5 inches of me. He thinks he owns this pond. He has no consideration for my private space. I'll never trust him again. Next time, he'll try something else just to annoy me. I'm sure he's plotting something already, but I'm not going to stand for this. I'll teach him a lesson he won't forget. And on the mind spins, still thinking and talking about it for days, months, or years later.
Mm. Well, this is good.
As far as the body is concerned, the fight is still continuing.
And
And
the
the
mind.
energy
Hmm.
it generates
That's
in
right.
response to
That's
all
right.
those thoughts is emotion, which in turn generates more thinking.
Mm.
Now, here we come. Hey, Sinette, she says, yes, we are energy beings. Body is just dense energy. Yes, it's more contracted.
Yes.
Allow harmony source energy to dissolve out of tune energy. Yes, tune in
I
and
like
direct.
that. I like
I
that.
like
Out of
that.
tune
The
energy.
out of tune.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell the
Yeah,
boss man to give you a raise, girl.
yeah,
Ooh, wait.
yeah.
That's good, ain't it?
Tune in and the radio
Now you
signal is
take baby
clear.
girl, she be upstairs on the bed up there, and she be laying there, and it's kind of cool in the room. Get close to her. She'll use, and she's not trying to do it or not trying to do it. She just being a puppet, being this. And I guarantee you, if you move her and lay in that spot, you almost have to get your a fan on because
Yeah.
she'll heat the
Yeah.
place up. But she lived like that.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here's a nugget.
All right.
We live with God 24/7 with these bodies,
Yes. Yes.
producing automatically His energy
But
self.
can you see how we build a story
The mind
and
does. Mhm.
then
Yeah.
we keep that negative energy going?
Mm-mm.
All right, he says this. This becomes the emotional thinking of the ego. You can see how problematic the duck's life would become if it had a human mind.
Mm-hmm.
But this is how most humans live all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when they're like that, you're possessed. You're
Yeah.
possessed with the thoughts that you're thinking.
Oh, that's what possession is.
Mhm,
Energy locked up.
mhm. Holding, holding on to
Holding
what has happened.
onto a story
Holding what
that
has
may
happened.
it don't care whether it's true or false, real or in unbelief or fantasy.
Mhm.
It'll hold it and it'll materialize itself into the substance of possession,
Yes,
ownership.
yes. And it affects the human body.
Lord have mercy, bless
And
Jesus
it
Christ and
affects,
his holy
because
babies.
it projects out of you, is an energy, it affects people around you.
Ooh.
Okay, listen to this.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
All right. You can see how problematic the duck's life would become if it had a human mind.
Uh-huh.
But this is how most humans live all the time.
Yeah,
No situation or event is ever really finished.
that's right. That's right.
The mind made me and my story keep it going.
Wow. Okay.
And the next question would be, my mind would ask, how do you stop the mind from making the story? Here is
Okay.
where the dilemma is.
Okay. Okay.
And I think part of what the answer is remaining present and not floating back into the past with your memories. And that can become habitual to
Uh-huh.
float back into the past. It's habitual for most of us,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. I see in the book in the Old Testament Elijah and the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel.
Mm-hmm.
Two powers met on Mount Carmel. The power, energy of the false prophets, Jezebel and Ahab and all them, and then the power of God. Now, the power of God and the energy that they used was one and the same, but it was
Mm-hmm.
used different, even like it was in Pharaoh's court with Moses.
Right.
The energy that you now watch this. I guarantee you, if you just loose yourself here, go out into the forest when it's raining or not. Go out and drop all defense mechanism of your ego uh, ears and ain'ts
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and look
Mm-hmm.
at the trees. That tree is growing and moving so fast that you can't even see it. Your
Yeah.
fingernails, we used to do that in the class. Look at your fingernail. It's growing. Don't cut them. Just look at them. And then if you could stay there long enough, you would literally stay there long enough to see
You have one of those special cameras, you can see it growing.
flowers growing. You would
Mm-hmm.
see
Mm-hmm.
That's you
and
pushing these.
and
That's us doing
not only
this.
that, but in the body,
Hallelujah.
inside the body, there is a divine
Ooh, glory be to God.
intelligence. There's a divine intelligence in the body that beats the heart, breathes the breathing. It bats the eyes. It grows the fingernails and the hair. It repairs a wound. It has all of these different systems that it's running, and so it's a phenomenal mechanism.
You
And
know,
that divine intelligence is in every life thing. For instance, if you place a plant in a window, it will turn its leaves to the light. It's
that
got divine
up.
intelligence.
Look.
And a
Ooh,
rose will open up when it's sunlight or daylight, and
ooh.
it'll close up at night.
Look at you.
It's divine intelligence inside of every physical being.
Lord have mercy. That's good. That's good. I like
So
that.
these bodies are purposeful.
Yeah.
We must embody them completely and then walk as manifested God in the earth.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not to be, I'm God Almighty.
No, no,
No,
no, no,
but it's to
no.
be the manifestation of God in the earth.
Oh, that's good.
It's like
That's
the
good.
sun shines its rays. We feel the warmth of it. It's like, but and those rays are the sun, but they're not the direct
Yeah.
sun.
We are the direct beingness. I'm sorry. Let's say it another way. We're finding in the expansion of seeing, we can see God 24/7, and we are 24/7. I look at the top of that
Mhm.
uh, imitated tree we got here in the room. The air is blowing from the heat.
No, from the fan.
Oh, that's the fan. Okay, I didn't
Mhm.
know the fan was okay. That heat of that fan is blowing is tangibly moving that tree with an invisible energy,
That you
that
can't
presence
see.
that you can't
Yes,
see.
yes. What was that we
Nicodemus,
saw?
the wind blow.
What was that we saw the other day? It was some kind of gas. They had put it in a tank, like a fish tank,
Yeah.
and they could actually take a box and sit it on top. Not it wasn't. They could put it right inside of that
Uh
fish
huh.
tank, and
Uh
it
huh.
had some kind of gas that you could
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
and it would literally float.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they could take an empty cup, dip it down in that
And get a
tank,
cup of it.
and put it into the thing that they had floating on top,
Uh-huh.
and it would sink.
Tangible to the
But
five senses.
there is divine intelligence in all of
Oh, I
these
like this.
things.
Now, look.
We got a comment from
Yeah, I get ready
Sinette.
to say,
Yes.
let's hear from you guys out there.
Yes, Sinette.
We want
Well,
talk to us about this
Latoya
stuff.
said way back, she
Yeah.
says energy transfers. Yes. And then Sinette came with it. She says, so I give up the story of hardship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And tune into source love in the heart and feel grateful and let it dissolve the story because I decided to stop the hardship role play. Oh, well said, Sinette. Well said.
Good.
Well said.
I told
We
them to
can
give you a raise.
all do that. That is a prayer of surrender.
Yeah, it is.
That is a prayer of surrender. And by the way, that's how you master this materiality, by the prayer of surrender.
Now, they call him Master and Savior.
Mhm.
This is the key to mastership.
Yes.
Mastership does not mean you finally go to school for so long and you get a certificate and a paper saying that you passed the course. And since you paid the price to pass the course in class, you get a graduation. Let's go at this from a light-hearted angle.
Yes.
Stay happy.
Stay happy.
Laugh. Have fun.
Yes.
Enjoy life.
Stay grateful.
I found out this is what all comedians do. They take the dark energy.
They take their story.
The story of the dark energy and
they
make it
fun
light
out of it.
hard energy.
Make fun
of it.
Yes.
Isn't that something? Now,
yes.
I remember I investigated into Hoover Dam, President Hoover. And they built that in reference to him. It took them a long time to make that dam, but in the process of it, a lot of lives got lost and a lot of people were buried in that.
It's true.
But that dam, I investigate to the power source that comes from the water that flows through those generators to
Mm,
give Las Vegas and other places power.
mm, mm.
That those big giant generators, it showed a picture that when you went to the dam, you had to go down the dam steps, and when you got down the dam steps, you turn to the right and open the
Okay.
damn door.
Okay.
And as you open the door,
Okay.
you see these
Okay.
big old
Listen.
machines,
Okay.
machines, and these machines would be sound like they got a humming. Ooh, let me tell you something better than
Wait
that.
a minute.
When
What?
I wait, hold on.
Okay.
When I came from Lois one time, I was driving a LTD,
That's not Lois like a woman.
Lois,
That's
South
Lois,
Carolina. That's a
South
state,
Carolina.
and
Loris,
yeah, and
South
I was
Carolina.
driving, and it started snowing, and I noticed up in front of me there was a line of traffic because the tractor trailer jackknifed and blocked the
Yeah, I
road.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what I
I
intended to
was. I
do,
wasn't with you
no,
either. No.
I intended to come all the way through that night because I wanted to get home. Been on 3 days preaching, and when I stopped my car, the engine cut off, and
Mhm.
come to find out that the generator
And the
and
alternator
alternator, if the alternator which you generate the energy source for the engine.
went
Now,
out.
I was told that if I hadn't let the engine cut off, I could have drove that engine off of the gas
Hmm.
to come all the way home. And if I had stopped then, I would have been home. But I stopped and the engine cut off. So it took all night staying. And long story short, a lot of miracles happened to me about motel
Yeah.
expenses
Yeah.
and people
God
helping me.
took care of
He
you.
did, he did.
Yes.
And when I got to the repair shop, that generator was burnt all the way up, but the
Hmm.
motor was still working.
Yes.
It was still
Yes.
capable
So
of carrying the
so
load
the mechanism that was able to
because the alternator.
receive the
Yeah,
energy was still working,
yeah,
but the energy
hmm
source
yeah.
was not.
And it produced the power. And that was if I kept on going, my lights would have probably went out,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
had to drive in the
Now,
dark.
going back to what you were saying, being grateful is
Hmm.
one way to
Oh
keep
yeah,
your
that's
you
good.
used to preach a sermon called "Keep Your Plane Flying High." Remember that?
You remember all that?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot all
So
about
I don't
it,
forget your sermons. But he would
baby.
preach, "Keep your plane flying high." So this morning I was thinking about what. And by the way, Oliver and Yo-Yo always do this on their sessions, on their live streams.
Hmm.
They ask people what are they thankful for, what are they
Hmm.
grateful for, and so
Hmm.
they. What are you
I'm
looking
looking at the
at?
clock. Go ahead.
What?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
the
Go
clock
on.
you can right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Go ahead.
But so I this morning I was thinking about all of the things I was grateful for. And as I narrowed down the list or went on down the list, I got to a point where I said, you know what I'm most grateful for? This attitude of gratefulness.
Okay.
Hmm. This attitude of
Okay.
gratefulness. So keep your plane flying high. Let's see what Sandra's saying. She
Okay.
says, when you learn to focus your thoughts on something that make you feel good, when those bad thoughts come, whatever it is that makes you happy, a song or doing something you love will replace those thoughts that are bad. Yes, ma'am, that's true. That is so true. In fact, what you're talking about is redirecting the mind.
Mm-hmm.
My sister taught me this about when she's dealing with children. She said this a long time ago. Because she worked with kids and she was in early education.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she said when a child is acting up, you don't try to just stop them from doing what they're doing. You give them something else to replace it. You redirect the mind.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's what Sandra's talking about, redirecting the mind.
When Jesus said, "I and the Father one," he said, "I energy, greater energy,
Hmm. Hmm.
are
Hmm.
one in the
Hmm.
same place."
And you know what? That's why people who are in pain, a lot of times when get involved with someone else who's in pain, they forget their own.
Yeah.
It's redirecting the mind.
So when we get into eternal energy forgiveness, we are saying we see the dark energy
Mhm.
and we forgiving it means we're going to help each one of us
Mhm.
release that dark energy and
Mhm. Mhm.
restore back its
Yes.
original
Yes.
essence
Yes.
of
Yes.
light energy.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
forgiveness.
It is. It is. Yes.
Leaving dark in the light.
Yes. That's it.
Wow, that's good. We could go on forever with this.
We
And
could.
come to think about it, we do and have done forever
This
because
is
we
so
are
good,
eternal
though. This
energy,
this is
eternal life.
so good. This is so
Glory
good.
be to
So
God.
you know what I want to do?
Yeah.
I think I want to do this right now.
Oh,
Let's see. Let me get it right
oh,
quick.
get it, get it. Oh, don't get
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to do this right now because I
Okay,
think that's a good place to end.
okay.
It's a good place to end. We'll look at that in a minute.
Mhm.
We're going to embody it, right? Okay. This is Say this with me. From this place of calm, I see my God self. I see a new image of myself in the world. My focus is on the God essence within me, and I follow its guidance. I'm learning to trust myself. The self that I am is strong, courageous, and wise. I carry this sense of knowing with me into the world. And because I trust and focus on the God self within, I am creating on the outside a world that is harmonious and beneficial to myself and others. I am having deeper relationships. I'm learning how to deal with people. I am managing my money, allowing and attracting my good to manifest. I am building a career that serves others.
Mhm.
I am taking good care of my body and everything else around me. I am able to be in the world and enjoy myself, yet keep my commitment to the God essence within.
Okay.
This commitment is reflected in the light and power that I feel. I am the light of the world.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Yes, 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 yes. And that, my dear, is what we embody.
I want to say this to you guys. 50 years ago, or let's go back to the day that we were conceived in the physical world again. We never thought that we were going to run into each other like this on earth. But when you expand your awareness, you can look at this one incident on earth and evolutionize your travels into the awesome likeness of like God in the sense of humility and decreasing the ego.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'll increase, you decrease. Increase in awareness and decrease the ego. I can look now and tell that you and I set this thing up
Yes,
in agreement
yes,
with the
yes,
Heavenly Father
yes.
to meet each other in this experience we're having with a screen and electronics.
Mm-hmm.
The energy of God is what created this incident.
Because there's no distance
No, no
when
distance.
there's
And
energy.
we, 1,200,000 and a D-do, agreed, agreed to
And I'm
this.
going to say, by faith, we got 1,000 viewers this morning.
Now, I'm going to ask you guys out there,
And
and
wait,
I'm going.
before you ask
Uh-huh.
and do anything, Sister Chris says she still has the model plane from the sermon that you preached
Oh,
about riding. Yeah.
yeah, riding high.
She said it's in her car. She's got
Lord
it in her
bless your
car.
heart.
Isn't that something?
Look at this. This,
Thank
this,
you
this right
guys.
here.
Thank you
This
guys.
thing right here. Every time we get ready to quit, she'll wake up and come over here and say, "It's time to quit."
Yeah,
That's my girl.
that's baby
I'm
girl.
going to ask every one of you, and based on what we saw when we come on, there's an awesome list of people out there that didn't sign in for us to see their names, but they are listening at our teaching.
Mhm.
Send, I'm going to say this to you. I know it's against your nature. I'm asking everybody to send us $100 a piece and help us to keep this thing going. And
Okay.
amen to that. I'm going to
Amen.
leave it alone.
Amen.
Now, we love you because
Thank you,
you are
Lori.
just like
Thank you, Jill.
God.
Jill.
Okay?
Thank you, Sissy.
Yes.
Yes, we will be back again on Tuesday
Mhm.
at 7.
Yep.
Live and in color
Wait a minute.
with some more.
Wait a minute.
We'll be talking about some more.
Yeah.
Talk about some. He's all wrapped up
I might with my puppy
with his
here.
baby girl.
She got some
he
peanut
gets
butter in her
wrapped up
hair.
with baby
She
girl.
loves peanut butter.
I got cow licks sticking up too.
Don't worry
Every
about that.
which
Will you
way.
stop mirroring that screen? Them
I
people
happen
look,
to see
them folks
it.
there looking at you.
I see
They
it.
ain't said a word about it.
I got
Cow lick.
alfalfa cow
Be
licks.
still, girl, and talk to them folks. They don't want to listen to that.
Ah, I love you guys. We'll see you again on Tuesday
Hey,
night
I
at
want to
7.
know more about this. Some of you people are coming into the
They've
new
been
Latoya.
here. Latoya's been here before.
I know, but I want to. I got.
She's a newbie though.
Yeah, I know.
Well, a newbie as far as we know because she's always she hasn't always put her face up there, her name and everything. But yeah, she's been with us. She's not a newbie after today. She's not a newbie anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sister Renee. I got to talk to your husband about some business.
Oh,
thank you very much, Miss Jill, and all you little Jills, and Pastor Norman. Pastor Norman, I got to talk to you about.
Pastor Norman's already started his broadcast.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so he
We'll
said goodbye a little while ago. Yeah, he said goodbye a little while ago. But we love you. We'll see you back on Tuesday.
Keep your nose clean, your bridges. Don't take no wood nickels, and we'll see you on the turnaround.